a lot of fans wanted to see happen. You mentioned it was originally scheduled for November the 14th, but because of a rise in COVID cases, was postponed. But now CBS will have this game this Saturday at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, and fans on both sides of the spectrum really excited to check this matchup out.
Alabama coming off a 42-13 throttling of Auburn in the Iron Bowl for the first time in forever. And Stephen may be able to figure out and tell us what year the Alabama-Auburn game does not conclude the regular season in the SEC. Do we know the last time Alabama did not play Auburn to finish its regular season?
Let's see here. Been an extremely long time there, Mark. You would probably have to go back to the 1980s.
Okay. Yeah, I think something did happen with a weather situation or something in the early season during the 1980s that pushed another game to December, and the Iron Bowl was not the final game. But getting to the Tide's performance in the Iron Bowl, this is not a vintage Auburn team, but it's still a good team that was ranked in the top 25 in the nation. This Alabama team is taking care of business on the field, unlike anybody in the country right now, playing quality teams like an Auburn and completely dismantling them. I'm not seeing anybody else playing at this level right now, Stephen.
What was the most interesting thing, Mark, is the entire week, understanding that Coach Saban would not be able to coach this game due to mild COVID symptoms, and he spoke with his coaching staff, he spoke with players, he spent a lot of time on Zoom and probably, talking to Steve Sarkisian via phone just to make sure Sarkisian knew what the game plan was. He knew what the mindset was coming into this game. And for Sark personally, he probably got a lot of emails, phone calls, text messages before the game, but after the game and during the game, to see how well he managed everything, to see how he had the offense flowing, but not just the offense flowing, but defense seemed to feed off of his energy, and they played well as that side of the ball is peaking at the right time. Just after the game, the excitement that fans had inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, Steve Sarkisian standing in for Nick Saban and coaching a strong game, people were very happy about that.
So Saban doesn't coach against Auburn, but based on the guidelines and how long that quarantine had to last, we know that he's good to check back in on the sideline against LSU. But at what point in the week is he going to be able to get back on the practice field?
At what point? I think he was back out there actually today, Mark. I don't think today he was back out there. I know Monday the team had a small night walkthrough. He wasn't out there Monday, but between Tuesday and Wednesday, I know he was definitely out there today, but he was probably out there Tuesday as well. But if I had to put my finger on it, I know today he was out there.
Got our SEC show on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Appreciate everybody stopping by. We've got 18 online, and that should surge much higher as we just got off the line talking Florida State football. We got Stephen M. Smith on the line talking Alabama LSU on a Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. So, Stephen, when you look at this LSU offense in particular, my goodness, I don't know what they're possibly thinking in that offensive room to deal with the way the Tide's playing on defense, and they're coming off an effort, to use a better term, against Texas A&M when it took them until the 59th minute of the game to finally get the ball in the end zone. This on paper is a huge mismatch.
This on paper, Mark, it looks like a bloodbath on paper, especially when you consider this was a national championship team in the LSU just a season ago. It had so many players poached from that roster to go to the NFL draft, including 4 to 5 first-round picks. Yeah, 2 coaches leave for other offers, and Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator, and Joe Brady, the passing game coordinator. And then you had Jamar Chase to opt out before the season started, and here's Terrace Marshall 7 games into this season. He goes, well, I'm done. I'm about to prepare now for the NFL for the NFL draft. So it's just been a very troublesome season for the Tigers. Probably the best opportunity they're going to have is possibly starting Max Johnson at quarterback over TJ Finley, though Finley is a bit more athletic. Max Johnson's done a much better job actually protecting the football. They've got 4 good receivers, but none of the 4 would be a number 1 option. Kayshon Boutte's pretty good. Racy McMath is good. They've got a couple of other guys, but neither of those guys are Jamar Chase or Terrace Marshall. I mean, the bigger issue, Mark, is they have not been able to really successfully run the football, even with John Emery Jr., the 5-star running back. So it's been very perplexing for LSU fans coming off a national championship. You bring in the number 4 recruiting class in the nation. You think you should be able to reload, but you're staring at a 3-4 record. Not happy are the LSU fans right now.
For as scintillating as the offense was for LSU last year, for as magical as that season was and dominant against one of the more difficult schedules you're going to see, Alabama made a furious comeback in the second half in Tuscaloosa against LSU. I believe down like 20-21 at half, something down in that range.
20 at half. It was 33-13 at half.
Okay. 46-41 final. The Tide scored late to make it interesting, but made a furious comeback. If Alabama wins that game, they win the tiebreaker, the division, despite the loss to Auburn, and they go to the SEC championship game and most likely to the college football playoff. So for as much as Alabama was dismissed late in the season because they found themselves on the outside looking in and there was no way for them to fight back into the college football playoff race, they were that close to still reaching the SEC championship game and the playoff. We had talked about this a few weeks ago, Stephen, when we were setting it up for the matchup we expected that week before it was canceled and now postponed. That extra incentive for this Alabama team to maybe make a statement with the team in front of them across the line of scrimmage that took it away from them just last year.
There's a lot of incentive here, Mark, and the craziest thing about all of this is Coach Saban has never really been one to bring up, revenge games. So he has a pretty strong record in these types of matchups. And for the first time, the media was able to throw the question to him, but they didn't frame it as a revenge question. But Nick Saban actually came out with a thought to talk about how the players, they do see this as a revenge opportunity. So the fact that Nick Saban is even speaking on the fact that this is a revenge game, this is a revenge opportunity, going back to after the game and what Coach Ed Orgeron said in the locker room inside the Bryant-Denny Stadium, following that matchup, these players know what's at stake. The coaching staff knows what's at stake. They understand that last year, for the first time in 6 years, they missed out on the college football playoff, and they never intend on doing that. This weekend is going to be a very intriguing, very interesting weekend.
Stephen, as it stands right here on a Wednesday night with games being kicked off in the SEC at noon on Saturday, we're holding our breath. All 14 games are in play, or I should say all 14 teams and 7 games are in play. No cancellations as it stands right now, so we are hoping for the best, including Alabama LSU at 8 o'clock Eastern time on CBS Saturday night. Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. Catch him here on YouTube. Again, when can they catch your live broadcast right here on YouTube, Stephen?
They can catch the show, Mark, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on YouTube for Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And,
Stephen, for those of us who watch Paul Feinbaum, I caught you on there the other day. So when do those appearances come up?
Well, they come up when the producers of the Bime Bomb show text or call me, which they've been texting and calling me out of the blue here recently, and I just have to find my way to get them in there.
That is tremendous. That is tremendous. That is great stuff. Stephen, we appreciate you stopping by. You have a great rest of your night.
Absolutely, Mark. You guys take care.